Thank you all so much for joining us. This is our third Zoomin Lumens, our third Zoom-based manufacturer event that we've done, and it's our first for 2021. And we at Barbizon have been, we have a long relationship with Quasar. We've been excited to sell their products and represent them in the past, and I'm excited to be able to show off some of their new gear today. So I am going to turn it over to Steven to start talking from here.
Everybody, welcome to Zoomin Lumens, Quasar Science episode. Appreciate everyone showing up for sure. I'm going to introduce myself. I'm the CEO of Quasar Science, Stephen Strong. And we also have with us today our CTO, Ben Dinas, who is also a big-time Hollywood console programmer. I myself was a rigging gaffer for a lot of years and a best boy and a lighting technician in the film industry. Hopefully everybody can hear me okay and my audio is good. Ben's going to keep his mask on. I'm going to keep mine off so that you hear me clearly. Today we're going to talk about a couple new lights that we have that are just hitting the market right now. We have the wonderful sequel to our original Rainbow linear LED light, and that's called the Rainbow 2. We also have the newest star, our double rainbow. So, sorry, there's just a little audio in there. So the first thing we'd like to talk about is the double rainbow, because it's really the star of the show here for you guys today. The double rainbow is a dual row pixelated linear LED light. It's got the same kind of slim form factor of our legacy lights, but we doubled the width so that you could get more output and some better animation effects. This one right here is currently running on a battery pack. We have a full range of DC powering accessories, which we'll talk about a little bit later. I'm sure where to start with the camera, actually. First, I'd like to show everybody our new control screen, which we placed on the end, making it conveniently located. Hopefully you can be on Tristan's screen there. The new interface is fairly simple. The new interface is fairly simple. It's just like our old Rainbow interface. So lots of extra data on the screen now to let you know where the light is going to be set at and give you all your DMX and everything like that. We've also added this new output disable button now. So this is a key new feature that we have. So you all know what it's like to be on set and maybe the DP or the gaffer asks you to change the color of the light, but you've never used light before. You don't know anything about the interface. So if he's telling you to take, red to blue or, tungsten to daylight or whatever like that, you may not be very familiar with the interface. So you can just kill that output. You can go in and change the parameter to whatever you want and then re-enable that output in that new setting that you have. So you're not blasting all of the set while you're trying to run through the menu, trying to figure out where you're at. And I think we like to call it our embarrassment control button, honestly, because hopefully it'll help keep people from getting embarrassed on set. Also a good feature with the new double rainbow is all of the wired inputs are on one end now, so it makes a much more elegant wiring situation. So we have the streaming AC or the RJ45 pass-through ports, the True One AC power input, and a barrel connector for our DC input that goes to, of course, our battery. Some of the fun, great features of the double rainbow are definitely the new effects presets and stuff, because the dual row pixel gives you a lot of new capabilities of better fire effects, for instance, so forth and so on. So that's a fun new element to this light. Ben, do you guys want to, I'm going to pass off to Ben to talk to y'all a little bit about the new wireless and wired capabilities of this light, because that's one of the most impressive things I think we've done with the light. And I really want to have everybody get plenty of time to get that explained. So Ben, why don't you talk a little bit about the DMX and wireless capabilities of this new light?
All right, so with the double rainbow, we really wanted to focus on control. What are the ways you want to control the light? We really didn't want to limit the user to only being set with one profile or only being set with one control option. So inside every light, it can take wired DMX and it can take Ethernet. I guess I could take this off now as I fumble about. It could take wired DMX and it could take Ethernet. Over Ethernet, it will take ArtNet and SACN, so two lighting protocols that you can put right into the light, because with these new lights, they take a lot more channels in a universe. So you're going to want to have a better distribution of your data throughout your network, so you can run Ethernet to it. That way you can do many lights off of one string of Ethernet cable. Inside every double rainbow, there's actually a network switch inside that will allow you to pass through the Ethernet so that you can, in effect, daisy chain the lights when you're on Ethernet. Over DMX, that's you're only limited to the 512 channels when you daisy chain. So that's kind of one big leap forward, is the ability to do Ethernet-based control. So we have wired DMX, we have wired Ethernet, and we have SACN and ArtNet for that. Then on the wireless side, we have CRMX by Lumen Radio, which is what was in our original rainbows, to be able to connect multiple lamps wirelessly. Then we also have now Bluetooth control. This lamp right here is being controlled with the iPad here. Currently, you can use the blackout lighting console. You can use Luminaire to control a select number of lamps at once to change their values. Over Bluetooth, though, there is a latency with it. That's just the nature of Bluetooth. Bluetooth is great if you just want to do a simple interview setup. You want to tweak some levels. Like I could go in here and just play with this, the color of this right now. Let's see if I go back into here and turn off my effects. Bam. Now I could play with the different colors that the light is outputting just on the screen here.
Hey Ben, we got a quick question about about those controls. So can we, if you have a system that is outputting SACN, could you pass in SACN and then pass DMX out? Like, could you use the tube as a sort of quasi node?
Yeah, so we're developing what we call node mode, and that will allow you to put in an Ethernet-based protocol like SACN, and then you'll choose which universe of DMX to come out of the output. That's something that's still in development. We are trying to constantly innovate with on the software side of the lamp to add new features and add things like that. So yes, that is in the works. It's not yet available, but yeah, that will be a feature. Going back to Bluetooth control here, we're connecting directly to the lamp. There's no intermediate device. It's just the iPad directly to the light. Nice and simple that way. When you do connect through wireless DMX, you could connect this, pair it with a transmitter, just the same way you would with any other wireless DMX light by Lumen Radio with CRMX. So with CRMX, you can also go in wireless, and eventually you'll be able to come out wired. So this whole node idea, going back to what you're saying, with the network switch that we put in there, you're going to be able to go in with a lot of formats and come out with a different format, like wireless DMX in, wired out, or wired in, wireless DMX out. So we're really trying to focus on the ways you can optimize your rig, minimize having to need extra hardware to achieve that at the same time. The other wireless option that we're working on is Wi-Fi. So you can connect to the lamp as a wireless network. You can do the iPad to the light as a wireless network. Then you could choose this to connect to your own router for like more permanent setups where you want to, you know, if you have them in a studio or a home office or something like that, you'll be able to control them with there. And then you can do ArtNet over Wi-Fi with an app like Luminaire or Blackout. So those are kind of the connection options and what we really wanted to focus on with the light, in addition to the other control parameters. Now, you could control this one light as one pixel, like's happening here, and then you can break the light into other control groups so that you can do up to the maximum amount of pixels. Like if you look at the lights behind us, those R2s, those are in 24 pixel mode. So you can essentially reduce the number of channels your light will use based on how you're controlling them. So if, let's say, you needed to fit all these lights into one universe, well, you can go down to 2 channels, 3 channels, 4 channels, depending on how you want to control them. We also have a lot of different profiles built into the lamp. So you want to control them with HSI mode. You want to control them with just RGB TD mode. We really give the user all the options in the profiles. I don't know if you want to.
No, I was just showing them the pixels.
Oh yeah, yeah. If you throw it in a rainbow and go to, yeah, there you go. So that's just a 2 pixel mode there, and it really can break it up into the different forms for you. One other new feature we have is called output mode. So traditionally the lamp operates in normal output mode, but we found a way to optimize that low end of the spectrum and take all those steps that you normally have from 0 to 100%, and we rescaled them to be 0 to 20%. So what that means is when you're in low output mode, when you set the lamp to 100%, it's really 20% of the output. Well, why would you do that? So that you really have that finite control from 0 in the low end. You really have that finite control to do low end effects if you're using them on camera, if you're doing that type of stuff. The low output mode is great for that. On the other side, we have high output mode. High output mode really overdrives the lights, and the light tends to get really hot as a result of that. But that's because we're really packing in all the power we can to make the light as bright as possible for those situations. So that's a new feature that we have called output mode. And as this software is evolving, and as you know, we're learning more about what the lamp can do, we will be cranking out more updates that add more features for that stuff.
And Dan, we got another question real quick,
yeah,
on connectivity. So in Bluetooth mode, if I'm controlling the lights over Bluetooth, am I grabbing this light and controlling it, setting it the way I want it, move to the next one, move to the next one? Or can I grab multiple lights and control them individually at once, if you will?
So the nature of Bluetooth, just like with your phone, you're limited by the amount of Bluetooth devices you could connect to. So when I open it up in Luminaire, I see all the available devices to connect to, and you could connect to maybe 3 or 4 of them at a time. And when you're in Luminaire, you would patch them individually, like an individual fixture, just like you would if you were connecting them over DMX. And then if you want to switch between them, you just make sure you're connected to them by going to the Bluetooth menu. I don't know if you want to get in on this, Tristan. You'd go to the Bluetooth menu and you'll see your different devices there. So you could connect to several of them at a time, but Bluetooth, just the nature of it, it only allows you to connect to a few at a time. But as we evolve Bluetooth, we're going to work in different modes to be able to do kind of seamless integration where you don't have to choose the profile and you don't have to choose the DMX start address. You can just choose the fixture and say, I want to control that one. So that's definitely evolving as the software grows as well.
Awesome, thanks.
Another cool thing that we have is how you want the lamp to boot on. So traditionally with a light, you plug it in, you hit the power switch. But imagine the light's up in a rig and you're like, I don't want to go hit that power switch. So there's a boot option. You can boot with power input, means you just plug it in and it turns on. Or you can do it so you use the power button on the front. That's another user option that we have baked in there. Yeah.
I'll jump in on that rig mode thing, because it's really important, obviously, that the light comes back that the light comes back on where you had it set. And so often the light is rigged way up high and you're all going to go to lunch, right? So the way you kill all the lights is by hitting the breakers on the distro boxes, right? Well, a lot of electronic lights with software in them, once you turn the power back on, it comes back on. Well, it doesn't come back on, right? So the rig mode makes sure that everything kicks right back on when the power is reapplied to the light, whether AC or DC, triggering it right back into that same spot. That's a really important feature. I'm glad you brought that up. I kind of spaced that myself. So what we're going to do is I'll take you through the different sizes of lights real quick, and then we'll move on to some of the cool mounting hardware we've got going on. So on the RR, on the double rainbow, we have the RR50, which is what you see here. Now, the RR50 really works as a great mini panel. We know everybody knows quasars for our tubes, but this thing is really most effective as a little mini panel. You can get it into a bunch of places. You can't get a lot of the larger panels. It still has great RGBX color technology, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, but we're really happy with kind of the size to output ratio you get out of this light. And that's a good part. So then we have the RR100, as we call it. So this is the 4-foot basically size of the RR. It's a really great, interesting size light. Some of you that gaff with our lights are familiar with the light field that's created out of our lights, where when you take them vertical, they give you a more hard edge, and when you take them horizontal, you get this beautiful wrap. This light's really going to expand on that. Another great feature of these lights is that you can change out the diffused lens to a clear lens. You know, let's say that you're putting a bunch of lights behind the diffusion, or let's just say that you don't want the company choosing the thickness of your diffusion for you. So we're going to be providing clear lenses that you can swap out for these two, which will allow you to get more output and drive it through additional diffusers. Thank you, Ben. So I think Ned of Barbizon, our wonderful rep, I think I'm going to start talking about our mounting system. If you don't have any questions, I would love to get into the Ossium mounting system we've developed.
Yeah, no, go ahead. And so folks, if you have any questions over the course, even if you want to go back to any of the stuff that's already been talked about, you can send them in chat to questions and I'll bring them up. So anything we're about to talk about, anything we've already talked about. But for now, you guys go ahead and talk about the Ossium system. Okay, killer. The greatest part about being a rigging gaffer is coming up with interesting ways to get your lights to be riggable wherever you're at, all that stuff. So something that we were inspired to make with our legacy lights. A lot of people always ask, you know, how do you mount it? You got to buy all this additional mounting accessories and so forth and so on. So we decided to put what we call the rail down the back of the light, which allows you to attach a bunch of different accessories. One of the great accessories we have here, Tristan, if we can see this, snaps on. Ooh, I got to loosen it first. Snaps on and slides down the rail like so. And with that, you can attach either a baby pin or this rotator block, which acts as a little mini grip head. I'll get into more things you can do with the rotator block in a few minutes, but this slider allows you to position your mounting point anywhere. Additionally, the rail has 1/4 points along it in several spots so that you can kind of attach the different devices we have with it. One of the rigs that we have here, Tristan, come back in here. Maybe your camera is better for everybody to see this. So this is our slider with our baby pin and the battery plate all attached on it. So you can reposition everything along the light wherever you want, basically, right? And be as mobile for kind of, you know, on the go shooting, whatnot like that.
That's a fun part. Now, another great part about the rotator block and the Ossium system overall is that we've put it on a 1-inch thread pattern like the majority of professional cheese plates and accessories in the film industry. So hopefully this stuff will be great for, I'm going to take my mask on now that I'm alone over here because I can't hear myself. Another great part about the rotator block is that you can link them back to back to create like a double grip head out of it, which will allow you to start to do rigs like this. This is a little kit we're bringing out. It's got a 2-piece stand foot you can attach rods to, and then of course you can do a lot of cool rigs with your lights. Also have designed the rotator block to go onto the battery plate so that you can attach that anywhere, whether that's on CStand arms or anything like that. Here's the battery plate by itself. It's also got that cheese plate pattern, so you can use it for other systems as well. So the Ossium mounting system is going to be a great way to be able to rig lights. I mean, you can tell right here on this rig with the rotator block I've got, you could take a CStand and just slide a bunch of lights on it in that manner. Wonder if I can get away with doing something without embarrassing myself, is to try that right now with everyone watching. Now, obviously, the weight of these lights would require a sandbag to really do this, properly. So, I don't want to get into trouble on that. So, yeah, you can definitely stack a bunch of lights onto CStand arms or whatever rigs that you guys are used to using. And another really great part of that system is, you can adjust the light without moving the stand, which I think is an important element to things. I think that's a great plus. So you can get your stand kind of wherever you want it, and then cantilever your mounting point to its best spot. The other, put my mask back on so I don't infect Ben over there. Another part of the Ossium mounting system that we want to show everybody are our Ossium frame. So this will hold either 6 double rainbows or 12 single rainbows. We have great molded power adapters for them. All true 1 AC power, multi-bank. Those come in many different configurations so that you can power lights, whether in soft boxes like we have overhead here, or in these multi-bank systems. One other system, we're going to go over here, Tristan, and look at the Ossium block. So this is a fun little rig that we've made, again, for kind of on-the-go shooting. So you can use the Ossium blocks, link multiple tubes together. This rig will hold 2 of the RRs or 4 of the R2s, a little battery plate on there. Nice to carry around, do some run and gun shooting. You can put a Kino Flow pattern plate on here as well. But the baby pin works good as well.
And Stephen, I'm getting a question about stock. So are you keeping these in LA? How is the stocking level looking? If somebody on the call wanted to buy one of these today, what's the lead time for something?
That is a really great question. They've been selling fairly fast. And so out of all the models, I think that we're currently looking at end of March for all the models, but I know that we have RR100s in stock. Tristan, do we have any RR50s left in the? A few. So we have a few RR50s still available right now. We're out of, I got to get into the R2, you guys, which I can blast through really fast. I think I feel like the presentation is not the most concise one I've ever given, but I will talk real quick about the R2s so we can get that passed. 2 foot, 25 watts, great little compact light, gets you anywhere. It's got the Ethernet node inside and all that wonderful stuff. They have the 4 foot, which everybody's pretty familiar with, 50 watt. And then we have the 8 foot back here hanging in the ladder. I guess I have one behind me over here as well. That's 100 watts. It's not quite 8 foot long. It's 92 inches, I think, long. It's a great lighted surface, though, really long, beautiful lighted surface. Now, I believe that we have Q25s available right now in the Rainbow 2. We will have more Q50s at the end of March, and the same we will have RR50s at the end of March. But like I said, RR100s, we have some in stock right now, still available.
And I quickly just want to mention to everybody on the call, so if you're seeing this right now, if you're at the event, Barbizon is doing special pricing on Quasar Science product, and we'll send an email out regarding that after the event. So you'll get some additional pricing information, but there will be special pricing available for folks if they're looking to pick up any of the product that they see here today.
So I would like to mention a couple last things that I think are important for the ecosystem we're trying to create with these lights. So we always made lights to light objects with, not necessarily be on-camera lights, but we know everybody really digs that now. So the new riggability of the lights is going to be really great. We have brought out multi-bank AC and DC power systems to be able to come off of, say, bigger battery packs like this. Hopefully Tristan's screen, you can see that battery pack, right? And then power multi-bank of the lights, so you can run off of big DC packs. So both these lights are running off of DC right now. And they'll run all day on that pack pretty much. So it's really good. So you can do 4-bank rigs and so forth and so on. Our DC system comes, there's many extensions, splitters, head feeders. It's a really great system. You can see it on our website if you're in need of DC powering systems. Now, I'm going to pass this back to Ben, because Ben is going to talk about some more of the software features that we have on the light that are a lot of fun and make the multi-bank rigs a lot easier to control and so forth and so on. So I'll hand it back to Ben.
Awesome. So the feature that I want to talk about is a feature we have called lead follow. So what is lead follow? It's a way for one lamp to control many lamps. Tristan, you got to come on back here where we have these lamps are in lead follow here. So these 8-footers here, they're not being controlled by DMX right now. They're being controlled by this lower lamp. So in a situation, I don't have a programmer, I don't have a tablet, but I want to control a bank of lamps. I want to control a bank of lamps like this. You could set one lamp up to actually send the signal to the rest of them. And then whatever I do to this lamp, it will do to all the rest of the lamps here. So right now we're running a rainbow effect. And as I just go through the features here, I go through the settings here, I'm only controlling the one lamp, but it is controlling all of them. You could do this currently, you can do this wired over Cat5. In the future, you'll also be able to do this wirelessly through CRMX. But it's just a great feature when you have a bank of lamps and you want to get that output, you want to collect them all together. And you know, if the gaffer says, hey, go make that blue, oh man, that'd be a big pain in the ass, big pain in the butt to go through every lamp and have to change the settings on there. So the leader will control the followers. This is also really cool when you're doing effects because you could set each follower to a different setting of the follower, what we call follow 1, follow 2, follow 3, follow 4, and so on. And what that will do is it will do an offset of whatever effect you're running. So right now you can see that the rainbow effect is not one solid wave, it's kind of at an angle because these are set to different followers. And as you go through, I guess I could pull this off too. As you go through the different effects, it will offset them in different ways depending on what effect you're running. So that's a way that you could control many lamps from one. Or let's say you want to do an overhead rig and you don't have any extra tools. You can have one lamp on the ground as the leader controlling the followers up high. So that's how we're doing this right now. That's how this rig is controlled. The one behind me, this rig is running over wireless DMX from wireless DMX transmitters, separate from lead follow, just to point out what that one's doing. So that's the feature we called lead follow. It also allows you to kill all the lamps at once. Like if I kill the output button, it will kill all the followers as well, which is just an easy way, like I said, to control many lamps from one if you're in that situation. So that's lead follow.
Hey Ben, we've got a question on lead follow real quick.
Yeah, let's do it.
So I know there are a certain number of positions of follow positions available, but is there a maximum number of fixtures that you can tie together?
There's not a maximum number of fixtures, but there will be a maximum number of follows. So what that means is, like right here, we have one lamp controlling 4 other ones. Those are set to follow 2, 3, 4, and 5. When you set the lamps to follow one, any lamp in that chain set to follow one will do the same thing as the leader. So if I change, for example, I change this lamp, it's currently in follow 2. If I go into settings and I change it to follow 1, instead of having the offset of the rainbow effect, it's going to do the same thing as the light. So I'm going to go back over here. I'm going to go back to the rainbow. You could see that now these two are doing the same thing. So there isn't a number, there isn't a real number that you could put of how many lamps can I put on follow 1, how many lamps can I put on follow 2, and so forth. It's kind of just limited by the data itself. So because it's like saying how many lights can I put on DMX? Well, I could put hundreds of lights and put them all to channel 1. There's no limit of the listening that the devices can do. As far as the follows, right now we have it up to 8 followers.
I lost you, Ben.
You lost me?
Just your audio cut out.
You guys good? We have 8 followers right now with the offsets. We may look to expand it to be groups and other things in the future, but to answer the question very directly, no, there's not a limit of the amount of devices that could listen to the signal.
Awesome, thanks.
No worries. So the other thing that we have with the software now is as the software is evolving, we're constantly releasing new versions of the firmware. For anybody that has a lamp, I always say before each shoot, just go to the website or subscribe to the update list for the firmware, and we'll let you know when new stuff is released. And to update the lamp, it's a little USB-C drive, and it's super simple. Let's see, you just plug it in here like this, and power the lamp off, hold the enter button, power the lamp on, and that's it. Now this lamp will update to the latest firmware that's on this USB drive. Currently we're at 0.5C. We just opened up a bunch of new features with the 0.5C, like the Bluetooth and the advanced lead and follow and things like that. So subscribe to that mailing list. I believe it is on our support page, quasarscience.com/support. Subscribe to that. Then when we blast out a new update, you'll be informed of that. In the future, we are going to put additional stuff on the thumb drives, like you'll be able to do user presets or settings. With the lamps evolving as they are, there's more settings to make everything uniform, but you'll be able to put a file on the drive, put it in there and say, okay, it's set to DMX input, it's set to profile 7, it's set to all these different features. So the software will be constantly evolving. Right now, it's about every other week. It seems like we have a new update. So check that out. And yeah, so that's lead follow and updating your lamps. Do we have any other questions here?
Not right now. Again, folks, if you got any questions, just go ahead and drop them in chat. We are at about 1:40, so we've got 20 or so minutes left.
Yeah, I'm going to pass it back over to CEO and rigging gaffer, Stephen Strong.
Yeah, you're coming. The only thing I can do is dance. I would love it if people had some more questions, but if not, I could take a little bit of time talking about our new dimming capabilities in the lights. Now, it's hard to show everybody this because of the laptop cameras and everything that's going on. So you want me without mask? Sound better? That sounds better, huh? So what we're trying to what we're trying to get to with these lights is a true 1%. So we all know that LED lights from their genesis here in the film industry had really bad low-end dimming. They would cut out at 30% or whatever, and so forth and so on. So we worked really hard to bring that threshold to the best we could. Now, again, it's really hard to see on these cameras, but we believe that we've gotten our 1% to a true 1% calculated from our 100% intensity. So it's we're really proud of it. It's hard to see, like it's hard to see on the cameras. The whole thing, it's silly. Now you can get 1% in all your color mixes. So maybe that's the last thing I can touch on with these lights is the color system that we have in the lights. In essence, Quasar is a RGBWW light. We have red, green, blue, and then what we use for our whites, which is a little bit different than most people, we use a 2000K for a nice, deep, warm candlelight type color, and then we use a 6000K for our daylight white light, which gives us a nice big range in our white light. Right now, we're pushing, by using the RGB diodes, we're pushing our Kelvin range to 1750 all the way to 10,000K. And that's a pretty good range. And the entire range, we try to keep it in having really good TLCI, CRI, which I think we score 95 plus on any of those ratings. But the metric we really like to use is a newer metric that a lot of people are using called SSI. You might want to look it up and do some research on SSI, but what SSI does is it gives you a more true comparison to your target spectrum. So the number you get is how close you are to the actual spectrum. And so it's a much more accurate number comparing your device's color to the true spectrum you're trying to match. So RGBX technology has a pretty good SSI all the way across its range. We're in the 90s, right, on the tungsten side, and in the high 70s on the daylight side, which are pretty good numbers right now. So we're really proud of that. And you can keep that mix going all the way down from that low percentage all the way up to, let's just blast this thing out. Let's see. That's 100% on me with in rainbow mode, single pixel rainbow mode. Oh, I could be, see, that's a good question. I don't know, Ben. Let me change the output mode, everybody, and see where we get. Oh, I'm on normal output. There we go. That's high output there. So high output and then normal output, and then the low output, which Ben already explains, has a super smooth dimming curve in it. But yeah, that high output. So it's a decent little panel light that you can get to give you easy riggability. Put it anywhere. Put it over a window in your kitchen, or not in your kitchen, but the set you're shooting on. All sorts of stuff like that. Really gets you into a simple, small, low-profile spot.
You can also have awesome cooking sessions if you rig them in.
And just folks quickly talking about output, if you look down in the chat, you can see there's lumen ratings for the RR100 at some different color temperatures. Tim is entering some data in there. So if you've got specific technical questions, stuff is getting put in the chat.
Yeah, Tim
Steven,
King is in the chat there, our color science and imaging engineer. I'm throwing in some more facts and figures for you guys. Thanks, Tim.
I am getting, so I have a couple of questions real quick. One just about powering the double rainbow fixtures. Are those, is that a 12 volt battery system or is that a 24 volt battery system? someone's muted.
When you have masks on, it takes a long time for your phone to let you in to unmute. Thanks for your patience. So 12 to 24 volt is what the lamps are. So you can run some low amperage 24 volt stuff, which helps on our multi-bank system actually. I believe we're running 24 volt out of this power pack right now to run these lamps that are here. So you can get a lot more battery life out of your day, basically.
And then do any of these fixtures carry any sort of IP rating, or are these all indoor dry space only?
Yeah, they are studio lighting fixtures. They do not have an IP rating, official IP rating. We do have some silicone boots for the ends that help keep the water out if you get, any splashing going on with them, and so forth and so on. But yes, they don't have an IP rating. What we try to do with these lights is still focus on studio lighting installations and try to get the output up as much as we can with the AC power supply inside for kind of easier multi-bank systems and whatnot. It definitely gives you in high output mode some heat on the heat sink. So that's the other reason why we created the 3 output modes, so people could choose to put it in high output mode so they know that the heatsink is going to get a little hot in that mode, so you're conscious of it. Standard mode, it stays cool, and then of course low output mode, it stays really, really cool.
And then are you guys still, I know early on in the days of Quasar, there were kits ready to go for making Kino conversions. Is that something that's going to carry over into the Rainbow 2 line? Is that something where folks can purchase, the tubes and the power clusters to go into an existing shell? Or is that something folks have just put together on their own?
It is. For the Rainbow 2, it's the NATO rail on the back, or the rail system that we have on the back, which is basically a NATO profile, if you're familiar with that. You can pop that rail off by undoing 2 bolts, and it'll snap into Kino clips, or it'll snap into our classic Q-block mounting clips. And then you can definitely get it into a Kino from there. We are going to be bringing out our own shell this year that is built for the rail to bolt into. And I think that that'll be a much more elegant way to mount the lights rather than snapping them into the clips. So my answer to your question is yes, we do still plan to move forward with those kind of polycarbonate shell systems for these lights, so you can get a nice pair of doors and so forth and so on going on. I think we're definitely, I don't mind telling all your users, we're definitely trying to keep our system still a multi-bank system, kind of expanding on that classic model, so that you can have power systems, mounting systems, and software systems that allow you to turn multiple lights into one, basically. So hopefully you get more legs out of a kit that way. When we start bringing out our hard case kits, the R2s are going to come in a 4-light kit with the mounting accessories to be able to make them into a 4-bank light. And then the RRs will come in a 2-bank kit with the accessories to make them into a 2-bank light. So that's kind of where we're trying to head with making the system kind of a bit of a Transformers system. Hopefully Michael Bay doesn't sue me for saying that during this call. You got something, Ben?
And then I have one more question about listing. So do these fixtures carry a UL listing? Are they UL approved?
Yeah, they have ETL listing. So all the lamps have ETL. And then we will be coming out with our CE listed versions for other regions of the world.
Fantastic. And we're looking at about 1:50, so we've got about 10 more minutes. If folks have any additional questions, please go ahead, drop them in the chat. Otherwise, we'll start to button up here.
I can talk about some other technical stuff you may have noticed here. A bunch of the lamps you may have seen on the end, they have these little status lights. Like these two are currently both blue. Back here, they're different colors. And then on the rig back here, the status lights are all different colors. The status lights are designed to inform you of how the lamps are being connected. So right here, we have the first status light is your wireless connection. The second status light is the data you're receiving. So this lamp here is being controlled by Bluetooth. Both are blue. Back here on our lead follows, we have cyan for the followers and red and green for the leader. Over on this side, the CRMX wireless DMX, you have red for the red for the data, indicating that you're receiving data, and green indicating that you're connected to Wi-Fi, or sorry, connected to wireless DMX. So what all that tells you is that how the system is functioning. You can instantly, once you know the patterns, you can instantly look at the light and go, hey, that light's flashing. Why is it flashing? It doesn't have a signal, it doesn't have data. So it's just kind of an easy way to be able to see what the light's up to. And if you look at the light, maybe I'll do this one. If you look at the light here, this is not being controlled by anything right now. I'm gonna hit the output button just to kill the output for a moment. But the status lights can be seen from the end cap as well as from the front. And then you can also turn off the status lights for when they're on camera. Just press and hold the enter button for 3 seconds and the status lights will turn off. There's a bunch of other little button shortcuts like that that we also baked into the software to really let the user do things quickly and easily, like killing the status lights, which I'll do here if it behaves. There you go, it flashed red. And then if you could still see, the status lights are blue still because the screen is still illuminated. And then once the screen turns off, then the lights will turn off. That way, when you're troubleshooting it, you don't have to figure out, oh, what were the status lights? I want to go turn them back on. I could walk back up to it, press the button, and I'll see what the status lights were at. So just sharing some of the other interface and intuitive features we packed into this light to really help it be simple and easy to use. Any other questions out there? I mean, I could go on more about the software if we want to. It's called vamping, right, Tristan? There you go.
Yeah. So if anybody else has questions, please go ahead. Feel free to drop them in the chat. If anybody has a longer, more detailed question that you'd rather ask over audio, mention something in the chat or raise your hand, and we'll go through the chats and.
I heard from the sales side that the kits that Stephen was talking about, those should be going up on the website within the next few weeks, so people can see what exactly is contained within it and what's the layout and how it all works. All right, Stephen.
I really appreciate everyone who attended today. As you all know, we're all lighting technicians and gaffers and DPs here at Quasar Science. So it's really important that we try to make lights that are easy to use and intuitive for people, that last as long as we can sustain them, and well, don't disappoint you on set, which is the hardest part, of course. And I make no claims or promises that will never happen, but always know that we are very accountable to the product, and any problems that you might have with it, we will be there to make sure that you're happy and that you understand how everything works. It's really important to us that the workflow processes on set are as easy as possible. Nobody likes any of these lights at 6 a.m. when you wake up and you're opening the truck and it's cold and your hands hurt and all of that stuff. So the thing that we're really just trying to do is give you useful tools that help you solve problems, give you solutions to problems. It's our big goal here, because we know what it's like to get completely peeled on a movie set at 1 a.m. in the cold and the rain. So hopefully, as we progress forward with our technology, we will be able to fulfill that promise of thinking about the technicians first, and what it's like to be the guy behind the light, not just the people in front of the lights. So it's very important to us to keep that in mind. So I appreciate everyone spending the time with us today to hear what we have to say on these new lights. We're available at any time if you have further questions. I know the Barbizon team is very well educated as well on the product, so you can get these lights at almost all the Barbizon locations. So we really appreciate, obviously, Barbizon putting this event together as well. Really important that we all stay up to date on what's going on in the industry so we can be the best creators that we can be. So I thank everyone for coming. If there's any more questions, I'm of course open to answering them.
I do have a few more that I'll relay over. Again, I just wanted, we're getting close to the end of the hour, so I wanted to thank everybody again for coming out. Thanks to Quasar for doing this with us. And we will be sending, again, for folks who are here and folks who registered, we'll send an email in a couple of days with information about special pricing on Quasar products. So anything you saw today that you're interested in purchasing through us, we will have some special pricing. We'll have some information in that email about some offices with Barbizon have some service capabilities for Quasar Science fixtures. So if you have some older generation stuff that you're looking to get serviced, we can also help out with that. So thanks again, everybody, for coming out. And I will ask a few of these questions that have come up in the chat since the last time we did it. So one question, is there a plan to partner with somebody like a DOP Choice or a Chimera for soft boxes for the double rainbows? Is that something that's in development?
Yes, we're doing two things. The shells that we mentioned earlier, the polycarbonate shells, like the kind of Kino Flow style shells, we will have, we're gonna try to work with DOP Choice on making their snap bags for the outside of that. We're also gonna be coming up with a couple of our own little softbox rigs that we manufacture ourselves for some of these more custom multi-bank systems. But the answer is absolutely moving forward, especially for the big framed arrays and stuff like that. We have mounting points all around, so they will start to evolve and get, you know, the DOP Choice and Honey Crate systems on them as well. You know, something that is the other great thing is we're going to be coming out with some other lens detachments as well. I forgot to mention that the big reason we've made the lens swappable is because we're going to be coming out with some intensifier lenses that do like a projection effect and some larger envelopes that give you more options for kind of visual stuff and make a bigger, softer source out of it. So I apologize, but I forgot to say that earlier.
And then this might be a question for Ben. Is there an easy way to control the lights for more of an AV setting through existing AV control systems? So thinking Crestron, AMX, any of the non-like live entertainment protocols.
You know, you would need one of those converters that would take AMX into DMX. They all natively speak DMX or, like I said, Ethernet with SACN and ArtNet over Ethernet.
Perfect. So yeah, again, we're getting near the end here, but if anybody has any additional questions, we can hang out for a little bit.
I saw one here about XY. Yeah, we are developing XY color control as well. Like I said earlier, there'll be a lot of software updates that we're going to be coming out with that will really push the lamp forward. XY, the node mode that we talked about of going in with one format and coming out with a different one, like in with SACN and out with DMX. So lots of software developments to come with the lamps.
Awesome. And then for the output modes, if I'm cooking something with in the high output mode, does that do anything? Does that adversely affect the life of the lamp?
No, the reason we went to a high output mode is it, you know, generally speaking, LED technology It used to be cool to the touch, but now that we're able to drive these LEDs at a much higher rate and with a lot more power, in high output mode, they will get hot. Like I got to throw some gloves on when in high output mode. So we really just wanted to differentiate that for the user, to not have them be like, why is this light so hot? And it's like, okay, if it's in high output mode, that's going to be the expectation. But that's how you'll really be able to get that that high amount of power out of them. So no, it doesn't adversely affect the light at all.
And I just saw Tim's comment in the chat. Barbizon also sells hot hands gloves for those of you who have been working with LEDs for so long that you don't have them anymore. I've got a bunch on the shelf.
Take them out of retirement. Yeah, very true.
So yeah, folks, feel free to keep dropping questions in. My alarm goes off right when I start talking. Folks, please feel free to keep dropping questions in the chat. We'll be here for a little bit. But if nothing else,
yeah,
thanks again to everybody.
If you have other questions, you can reach out to us on social media. We have people that are really responsive with that to help you guys out. We have a Quasar Science Facebook group, Quasar Science user Facebook group if you have questions. And yeah, lots of ways to reach out. And like I said earlier, be sure to subscribe to the software update newsletter if you're an owner or soon to be owner or just want to stay involved. You know, a lot of times the users of the products aren't necessarily the owners. You know, you show up on a show and you end up with 100 of these lamps. Well, it's a good way to stay up to date on what's going on. Subscribe to that newsletter so that when you show up and you have got to update 100 lamps, you already know you're already ahead of the curve. Well, thanks everybody. Thanks for tuning in and listening to us. It's going to be great.
And folks, we will be posting a recap of this and a recorded version of this video up on YouTube. So if you have any details you want to revisit, anything like that, we will we'll include that link out with the email that we send. So yeah, I did have one last minute question about battery life. So I know the fixtures don't have onboard battery, but in terms of amp hours, watt hours, what do you see them eating up for maybe the double rainbow units? You know, you mentioned you can pretty much cook them all day on a block battery unit, but do you have any specifics on the
so
amp hour?
yeah, like the battery that we have attached here, I believe, I don't have the rating off the top of my head, but kind of like our linear battery packs that you may be familiar with, it'll do on the larger pack, it'll do a 50-watt light for about an hour, hour and a half. The same on the 4-foot R2s, about an hour, hour and a half on kind of like these standard battery sizes. As far as the bigger battery packs, yeah, those in a big array, those will last about 2 hours, like something like that in the back there. So we do have that information on our website. I just don't have it at the tip of my brain right now. But yeah, we did. And also, when you're running it in lower modes and lower intensities, you will get a longer life out of the battery as well. So that's at full power, you'll get about an hour, hour and a half on these packs.